the sales you're skipping over, but that applies to all channels, all areas, all strategies. Right. And it is follow-up, right? It's the fat stacks that are in the circle backs, baby. And chasing that, I'll let you talk about it here in a second. Chasing real follow-up, like actively engaging regularly in follow-up is, if you're passionate about it, you are going to suffer because it is a laborious process. But talk about, how do you shore up the cracks? How do you run follow-up in a way? A lot of our model is built around this. How do you run it in such a way that you are juicing every potential lead, prospect, account for that next sale that's just around the corner?
Well, I think before you even get tactical about how I would answer this, I would think you got to talk first about the conviction you have to have behind it first, right? Because I can give you the strategy, the tactic on how to do follow-up and why you should do follow-up. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a conviction for why follow-up's important to your success, your organization's success, your team's success, whatever it might be, then the tactics are going to go right over your head. The strategies go right over your head. And so you have to believe that at the end of the day, the best sales come through follow-up, right? Like if I just went on a date with my now wife and I just kind of like let it just coast, as opposed to like flying her to St. Louis when I was there and doing all the things that I did, like the follow-up game is what got me married to the person I wanted to marry, right? And so I think you have to develop a conviction. And so if you don't have a conviction for follow-up, if you don't have a true DNA of follow-up in the organization, you need to start fast there.
Can I add one point there too?
Yeah,
because Ryan's great about this. Ryan Reiser on our team, he talks about, like, if these accounts that you're going after, if your list, the list is the strategy, right? Like if your list is not so curated that every account that you would talk to, every contact you could talk to is somebody that if you get them on the phone, right? If you just get a conversation with this person, you are ecstatic, right? You're going home, you're telling your wife, you're high-fiving your friends because you got an in at this company that you so badly want to sell into. Like if you don't care about these accounts that much, that's a big piece of it too. Like you're going after the wrong people. So I think if you've got ideal targets and a conviction, that's a match that's going to lead to a lot of success.
100%. Yeah. But to your point, like strategy and tactics, I think everything comes down to, people always think about like technology and systems. It's like process is king. At the end of the day, if you don't have the system can be fairly agnostic if you can build the process into the system. And so, Ryan's got his bucketing, I've got my stacks, I'm conceding, he's got a book on it. So like, why am I going to try to usurp his approach? But I think having an approach, shameless plug for Ryan's book, Outbound Sales, No Fluff, having a process that you can follow that ensures that nobody falls to the cracks. So what that essentially has to mean is every prospect, every deal, every opportunity needs to fall into one of 4 or 5 buckets, right? In his case, I'm trying to like alter my language to his because we slightly differ on ours. We both developed our own approach through the recruiting world, which we both came from, which is funny. We probably got it from the same place. He just altered it to his and I altered it to mine. we came to find out. I've never even read his book, by the way. Sorry. Whoops. And I just plugged it. But I think having a process where every prospect deal opportunity has a label, right? Or a bucket that it falls into. It depends on what stage it's in, right? So on contact, researching, basically not actioned yet, goes into bucket 1, right? So you know that everyone that is in this bucket, no matter what, has not been properly followed up with, actioned, whatever. Bucket 2 are people that you are currently actioning, that you need to continue actioning, but there's no leads bubbling to the surface just yet. After that, you have another bucket for our highest priority leads. This is what we're talking about. Like when you start getting opportunities, conversations going, follow-up comes from those conversations. Okay, what did I talk about with JJ on this cold call? And he's a prospect that I want to break into, or it's an opportunity that's on the board. Having this bucket of like, these are the priority bucket that I have to work. Bucket 4 and beyond is more like people who are on the calendar. Next steps are set. We're working the deal. Then you've got your no-show bucket and so on, right? So the reason that's important is because your calendar should reflect those labels, those buckets. And so I should have on my calendar bucket 2 time, bucket 3 time, bucket 4 time. And as a best practice, what I've always taught is that everyone from bucket 3 and beyond should always have the next thing already assigned to them. And so when I finish my follow-up activity, I don't just move on to the next one. I quickly, and this is where systems can, the technology, you can have like a call disposition button that automatically sets the next activity or so on. You need to have a system where everyone always has the next step attached to them. And so therefore, when it is time for that task to bubble to the surface, let's say your disposition is, had a great conversation, he said, send me information. I click that button, it sends the email with information, also sets a task for me to call them in 2 days. Well, in 2 days, that's going to bubble up to the top of my list, and I can action that list today, right? Especially when I just log in for my bucket 3 times. And so I think that is the process that you need to follow, right? It's the only process you need to follow, is always make sure there's a next step attached to every person, no matter what, until they say, go fuck yourself. No, this is over. Even then, maybe set one for 3 months, or they say yes. And that's, if you do that, 2 things are going to happen. 1, you're going to have a lot more revenue. 2, you're going to have a lot more accountability. You should have data. If you have the right process in place, you should have the data to know when people aren't following up on your team.
Yep. I'm going to give you 2 anecdotes just to back this up, because this is a process that I'm running internally right now. It's going really well. I really enjoy it. We'll have people that say they want to book a meeting, right? That's a different outcome, different disposition, right? They want to jump into a call. Great. We go to put it on the calendar. They no show, right? Mm-hmm. Oh no. What are we going to do, Joey? They didn't show up. Well, we should probably, just send them an email and never talk to them again. Right? Like, we have a client recently that I will shit on for a second, who had a salesperson who was getting activated leads from us, and if they booked meetings, and if there were a few that no showed, and they just moved that person into a closed, lost bucket, never to be touched again. And so that's the opposite of what you want to do. What I've been doing, right, is, hey, I'm going to hit this person back on the phone, and then I'm going to hit him back 2 days from now, and then I'm going to hit him back 2 days from now. And maybe I send him an email in there. And then I found his VP of sales, and I called that guy, and his name was Carter. And I caught Carter in the car driving his kids to dinner while I was in the car with my kids, driving my kids to dinner, and we booked an appointment. Go figure.
How it works, brother. That's how it works. Yeah, it's wild how, like, I don't know, people just get busy, and you just assume, like, deal's dead, move on to the next one. I think this is another, some orgs wish they had this problem. Some orgs do have this problem. It's a problem whether you don't or you do, right? So it's a 2-edged problem. And that is that some people have lead disease, right? They just know the next opportunity is going to come down the pike. This is why most account executives don't hit quota, is because they have lead disease where they know that the SDR is going to just plot the next one. And they assume that lead stream is going to eventually get them to their on-target earnings. And it very well could, which is a lazy organization. It's set up for failure long-term, because your cost per acquisition is going to go straight out the roof compared to where it could be if you had a proper follow-up system. Pull up and empty the clip. Pull up and empty the clip.